Hey, strangers. How's it going? It has been 3 months since the last time Lids Off graced your ears or violated your eyes. It's been a journey, to say the least. But we are back. We are recording. Pending this completion of this recording, I might still have all my hair. We faced a lot of technological challenges, to say the least. As I said before in the premiere episode, my 10-year-old MacBook went, "Oh, that's cute that you're trying to do something really modern," and then just stopped working. So the program that I use to record these, it's kind of like it hosts an interview, much like a Teams meeting. And we'd get like halfway through an interview, and then it'd just stop recording. And this happened 8 separate times. I have to say, fair dues to Sam Jones, who bore the the most of the brunt of my technological frustrations. She kept turning up, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And even my wife was bitten by the scourge that was the old MacBook. So we invested in a new laptop, and then just life got in the way. So we filmed 8 episodes in total that just kept crapping out. And then I've been experiencing a fair amount of football burnout, to say the least. I have faced a little bit of challenges this season, and we'll go into that in a bit. But like, I just got a bit burnt out. But now the season's back, it's in full flow, to say the least. We've already had our first tournament. Second tournament is this weekend coming, and I just thought, with the bank holiday, why not just fuck around and film and see what happens? So here we are. We'll start with the news. So the leagues are back. The women's leagues are in full flow, nines and sevens. So the Premiership we'll start with London Warriors going 2-0, which, you know, they're such like an elite program. Like, it's a force to watch. Hats off to whoever is doing their Insta while they're playing games, because I got chills watching the stories from this weekend just gone. So their season opener against Solent, they beat them 50-20, which, fair play to Solent. They've just gone up into nines, and to put 20 points against the champs is fair dues. You know what I mean? I think that's a credit to the Solent program and their commitment to growth and development, for sure. And then this weekend just gone, the London Warriors beat Peterborough 47-0. If I keep looking up, it's because my notes are up there. So yeah, they beat them 47-0. Admittedly, speaking to a couple of the Warriors players, they didn't start off strongest. They kind of got in their own heads, quoting from some players. But seeing on their Insta stories their coaches telling them to just buckle down and sort their heads out and trade, result back to what they know, and seeing that switch for that second half was something else, honestly. Like I said before, like, there's a reason they're the champs, for sure. They're just, yeah, Warriors are just a force, for sure. So in other news, Birmingham Lions beat Teesside 62-2. Teesside's first foray into nines as well. And in other news, Leeds Chargers beat Manchester Titans in a phenomenally high scoring game, 92-57. I watched the live stream of that. It was a really close game. It seemed like Titans struggled to get their offense going, which, is usually a common occurrence for Titans, but that doesn't mean that they are out by any means. Titans are really good for going back to the workshop and reworking and rethinking things, so definitely do not count them out for the season. But congratulations to Leeds, who came out flying out the stables for sure. I mean, Gabby is just something else, and the Leeds Chargers defense definitely did not come to fuck around for sure. Now to the Sevens Development League. Fuck off, Buffer. Development South, which consists of Kent Exiles, Cardiff Valkyries, and Norwich Devils. Ken had a good day in the office, beating the Valkyries 21-8, and then also beat the Norwich Devils 34-0. Is it Hertfordshire Cheaters or Hertfordshire Cheaters? Why is it spelled like Hertfordshire then? Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire Cheaters lost to Valkyries in an extremely close game of 21-27. And then Hertfordshire also beat the Devils 27-10. Tough day in the office for Norwich Devils. But I think that is going to be a really close league, and I am very excited to hear about the second tournament coming up this weekend. And now into Development North, which is the Bears League. So we welcome Shield Maidens out of their associate year and into their first fully fledged competition. So we had their first game, which, honoured to be the first, take the cherry. It was really fucking hot. Let me just tell you, holy balls, and it only just got hotter. We beat them 28-0. It wasn't an easy game by any means. And I think that's a credit to the program at Shield Maidens, to say the least. They've not, a lot of their players, it was their first time ever playing, competitive contact American football. So fair dues for turning up. And yeah, it was fun. They're a nice team as well. And it's like, I know a lot of people that play our sport are like, do you want to be a nice team or do you want to be a successful team? And I know our head coach touched on this at our extended training session, where he said, there are teams that say we just want to win at all costs. And then there are teams that are like, we don't care about sports, we just want to socialise. And then I feel like the Bears are just in the middle at the moment, which is, people are like, how can that be? But trust me, it is. So for the Shield Maidens to, be such a joy to play against as well is just so lovely. We also welcomed Chaos, who played their first ever game as the Coalition of Scotland. So for those that aren't in the football community, which will be like two of you that listen to this, Caledonia Chaos is the collaboration of Edinburgh Wolves and EKP. Number one fanboy. So basically what happened over the summer was there was a struggle of a lot of players graduating or retiring, and then the struggle for retention meant that there was a poor kind of basically both teams really struggled for recruitment for various reasons, and what I think is absolutely phenomenal and speaks to the overall program of Scotland's American football is that both teams came together and was like, okay, let's work together so that women's American football in Scotland doesn't completely die out. And I always knew as soon as this got announced, I was like, oh fucking dear, because the pedigree of Scottish American football is just, it's out of this universe. They've got such strong players and coaching staff, it's unreal, to say the least. And I am known at the Bears as being Scotland's number one fanboy, and proudly wear that badge for sure. So Scotland played. Well, I say Scotland. Chaos played their first ever game as a coalition as well and beat us 31-0. It was a tough game to say the least. So we played our first game against Shield Maidens and then back to back. So I think we had like 40 minutes between, or an hour between games, and I was absolutely bollocksed. I just could not get started for sure. I don't know whether that's something that I need to work on into, because it wasn't even a sense of fitness, because it wasn't like I was physically tired in that way. It was just mentally. I think it was the sun, because we were out unshaded all day and it was brutal to say the least. So we really struggled as a team to get going. I think there were a couple of chances where we definitely should have not got nilled, and that is a reflection on us, but also a credit to Scotland's, defense, to say the least. So yeah, and then Chaos remained unbeaten, beating Shield Maidens 42-0 before the game got called, unfortunately due to injuries, which I think was a really smart call on Shield Maidens' behalf, to be honest, because they've got to last 3 more tournaments. Yeah. So the main takeaways from that tournament for sure was Abby Coleman. Holy fuck. There is literally nothing that woman cannot do, and there is a reason she's on GB for sure. Holy balls. It was amazing to see Rach Moody return to the field after, I know she took a year out or a season out for sure due to a knee injury. So, and she's like incredible. So to be able to be on the field with her was fucking phenomenal as well. It was brutal to be playing against Lindsay Llewellyn's coaching for sure. It's a privilege with Seahawks to have her backing and her contribution to the program, because when you're playing against it, it's just, she's just so football IQ, and it definitely reflects in the skills of her athletes that are under her for sure. However, however, I remember it was after our tournaments and I'd got changed and we're coming back to go watch the Shield Maidens. And I remember hearing someone, like, not Lindsay, like another female coach from Chaos, be like, "If I see anyone walking on the pitch, you're getting subbed." And I'm like, bro, that could never be me. Like, there would be a dent in the bench from my ass because I walk everywhere. But fair dues, if that's your coaching style, go off. I don't know. I'm a big fan of 94 from Shield Maidens as well, Ren. Watching her play like fucking Aaron Donald was incredible. She is the like head coach as well as playing, which is fucking mental. I have no idea how she achieves that, but fair dues. I saw her being like double teamed and just like honestly, it was just beautiful. Big fan. And that's not just because I've got a soft spot for anyone that plays in number 94. But Ren, you're an absolute mega babe. If you do listen to this, big fan for sure. So from a Bears perspective, it was a little bit too heavy on the run game. We very much, I mean, a good offense is allowed to like lean on its running backs. Leeds Chargers do that, Birmingham do that. When you've got a really strong running back game, that makes sense. I don't feel like we are particular, like, we've got phenomenal running backs. Sophie and Chantel for sure are very skilled and very, like, they just kept going and going and going, and you know what, fair play, that's why I could never play running back. But I do feel like we've got a lot more in our toolbox that I don't think we were able to get out, which is also a massive reflection on the defenses that we were playing against. My wife got a pick six, which was fucking sensational. However, it wasn't counted because the ref thought that the ball had to touch the pylon instead of go over it. So, Baffa being Baffa. But yeah, she got a pick six. It didn't count on the score sheet, but it counted because we've got it on tape. So my wife is captain no fly zone. So congratulations to you, babe. Big shout out to the Bears D line for sure. We've got 3 rookies and 3 vets that will play on. I didn't get any reps at all because of the depth of it, but there were definitely big plays made, and to see rookies, going out there and giving their all, because like first time doing contact and, doing such a technical sport like what we do is no small feat for sure. And so, Bo, I hear you say, why did you not get any reps on D-line? D-line is your personality, and I agree. D-line is my personality, friends. However, I am dabbling in tight end. I've always wanted to branch out of D-line, but with previous coaches on previous teams, I think the exact words were, it's a little bit too complicated for you, stick to D-line, which, cheers for that. But, it's been amazing that the Bears program has, supported me to try something new for sure. It's been really interesting to like learn a new position, but also because tight end is such a hybrid position, and the existing tight end Hannah plays so different to me. I mean, she's like 7 foot tall, and I am not, and I'm quite short and stocky. So the 2 different builds, I feel like we bring 2 different elements to it. So, as I previously mentioned at the start of this podcast, this year has definitely been a struggle for me personally. It's been the hardest year of my of the. This is my 4th year of playing American football for a number of reasons. It's genuinely been a struggle. It has taken a toll on my mental health. Going from a position that I've done for 3 years to a new challenge has been hard, to say the least. And it's not just for the sake of, D-line is, a lot simpler compared to others, which I can go into a long list of reasons why it's not. But it's more a case of, do people that when I started to train as tight end, it was, do people take me seriously in this position? Do people know that I'm taking it seriously and that it is something I genuinely want? And that I'm not just doing it to dick about. I'm not doing it for any negative reasons. Like, I do genuinely want to play tight end. It's that, and when you do change position, it's like I don't want to let anybody down. Like I I wanted offense to know that I take it and treat it with the same level of seriousness that I did D-line. And I know I used to joke a lot about D-line and the position, and that's because I got comfy, and I feel like I am a person that constantly needs to be challenged. So in doing so, I'm quite vulnerable in that, and taking a chance and learning something new is, there's always that chance that people think, oh, but when you don't pick it up straight away, people are like, oh, they're just dicking about, or they're just doing it to get out of, you know, they're just wasting our time. And I don't want anybody to ever think that, I take football and I take my position at the Bears very seriously. But also, when you get a new coach that has a completely different communication style to what you're used to, it takes time. I am an individual that needs a lot of reassurance and a lot of praise. I need a lot of reassurance because I am quite an anxious individual. I do have mental health problems, and I do, they don't magically disappear when I play football. I take them into every game, I take them into every training session, and I think it is something that makes me an asset, but it also can make me quite vulnerable as a teammate. And getting used to change when you're an anxious person is not, it's not always the easiest thing. But everyone on offense has just been so supportive of me, and even players that are on defense of the Bears that I've been against during scrim have been so supportive of me. And it's been amazing to be able to have my wish of wanting to play both ways honoured at scrim, and to still be respected as a lineman, as well as playing as a tight end. It's not easy, especially when you are my size. I feel like people that are more like built like a traditional athlete, that like look like they go to the gym and are quite skinny, then it's like I feel like there's almost like a hidden permission for them to be like, oh yeah, sure, they're athletic, they can do anything. But when you're built like a bit bigger like me, I feel like there's like a hesitation, almost like, oh, can they manage? And I feel like I've struggled for people to trust that I can do that and I can manage my own workload. So that has been a challenge, which I feel like is lessening with each training session, when coaches and players, do see that I can manage both easily. But that has been hard. But the main thing that has been my struggle this season has been the BAFA anti-trans policy. I'm not going to call it the gender policy because it's not. It's gender policing at best. And this really hit me hard. It has really affected my mental health. It has affected how I engage in a space at football. So for those that don't know, BAFA basically introduced a policy that said that trans women are no longer welcome to play in football, and non-binary people that engage in hormone treatment are no longer eligible to play either. So as someone that is non-binary, that is on a waiting list to receive hormones to get gender affirming treatment, it has been hard, to say the least. And there are going to be a lot of breaks in this because it's quite a personal issue. I knew from a very early age that I was non-binary. I didn't receive the tools to describe who I was until very later on. And when I finally figured out what I was and what I identified as, it felt like a light bulb moment, It felt like things made sense. And I finally started to feel a little bit more comfortable with myself and learning how to carve a space out for me that made me feel safer. And then I, just before the pandemic hit, I joined the wait list for the gender clinic to kind of get me help, because some of my outsides just don't match. Like, my voice doesn't sound like how I feel like it should sound, and I wear binders religiously because I don't feel like I should have boobs. So anybody can take them, please, just not me. And I've been on that wait list for going on 5 years now, and I've just started the steps, to getting help on the NHS, to get support to make me match with who I am. Now, for reasons that I don't need to go into, it's going to be a minute before I'm allowed to get hormone treatment. Now, I have no desire whatsoever to transition into a man. I don't identify as a man. I'm non-binary, and I'm never going to fully fit into either sex, because that's not me. Now, seemingly overnight, without consultation from any trans group or trans players, or even any wider consultation from actual athletes that play the actual sport, this policy was brought into place and put into play immediately. Which, by the way, for the record, doing it after membership was paid is absolutely bullshit, and really, like, the most Tory move I've ever known in my life. But also to suddenly render a part of the community moot and no longer welcome is absolutely disgusting. So, luckily for me, which is the only time I will ever use this sentence, but luckily for me, I've not started hormones yet. But to be so on the receiving end of something that is so out of your control and it impacts you, really took the wind out of me, I'm not gonna lie. Football is a space in which I've had the best memories, I met my wife playing football. I've met some of the best people, and do know some of the best people because of this sport, it gives me focus, it keeps me, this year not included, it's brought so much joy to my life. And then for this to come into play, it really it winded me, to say the least. And I think the worst thing about it, ironically, wasn't the fact that this came out, because policies can be overturned and things will be fought, and trust me, I will do anything and everything in my power to fight this and challenge this, as it should, because everyone deserves to play American football. Everyone. I have just been so deeply affected by the silence of people that I care about. And it has really deeply affected me. Safe spaces it should never be a tokenistic gesture, it is not only a space for you to be whoever you want to be, it should also be a space where you are protected. And when the spaces in your life you thought were safe spaces were no longer, and we're just holding spaces, it can really turn everything upside down. for you as a person. And that is something that I have really struggled with this season, is something that has deeply affected me. And until this is overturned, it will continue to affect me. Because everyone deserves to feel safe and everyone deserves to play football, regardless of who you play for or what you identify as or who you are. I want to say that I think to be an ally is not, you can't just call yourself an ally if you just don't mind if someone identifies a certain way or if someone wants you to use certain pronouns when you wouldn't usually have done that. To be a true ally is to defend people when they need defending. And for me, I think clubs up and down the country, I hope people challenge BAFA. I hope they mandate, and challenge this transphobic policy for what it is. I think at the very minimum, BAFA should get rid of any pride posts, because you can't use the pride flag if you're excluding a group that comes under that community. And I continue to be aggrieved by the post by BAFA that had a pride flag on it. Pride is for all, not just for one. And there are a number of things that you can do as a club, as an athlete, or as a person listening to this podcast. Number one, just check in on your non-binary and trans players. And even if those players aren't out, spaces are. There are a number of things that clubs and you as a person, as an athlete, or as part of a club can do. If you're, if you are affected by this episode, then good. Thank you for being human. Changing an organization's policy can seem quite daunting, and it's very easy to just wait for other people to do it, but there are a lot of things that you as an individual or as part of an organization can do to change it. The most important thing is actually building a safe space and making sure that it is one. Check in on your non-binary and trans players. This isn't just about focusing on them and checking in on their mental health, but also making sure that it is a safe space. And if they have any needs, please make sure that they are supported in whatever way they need to feel safe when they are attacked systemically by an organisation that they pay money to play to. You as a club, not every trans person knows they're trans straight away. Not every non-binary person knows they're non-binary. It is a spectrum and it is a journey, and it is important that as a club that every club is an inclusive space, regardless of whether it is a space in which you all strive to achieve championships or whether it is just a social space. Every space deserves to be an inclusive space. So that means making sure that, there are policies and language that you use in your player handbook and your player guides and your contracts that are inclusive of that. And making sure that, there is a space for people where, you will cut out transphobic jokes and challenge problematic behaviour there and then, for people to carve out a space for it, and don't just tar out the LGBT flag every Pride Month and yet still show no effort for what you're doing to fight this fight, in my opinion. As an organisation, I feel so passionately that, you know, clubs and individuals need to write to BAFA and challenge this on every level. No, I'm filming this episode wearing a Bears hat and an EKP t-shirt, but I by no means do not speak for either organisation. I am just speaking as an athlete that is affected by this policy. But we will win out. But all it takes is for good people to stand there and do nothing, for bigotry to win, and this can't prevail. This policy is not reflective of our community. It is not reflective of our sport or our leagues. The people that I play football with, this isn't reflective of them, and this can't continue. So, yeah, it's a bit of a heavier episode, but I think I'm a Pisces, so we don't do things lightly, but also I feel like we needed to clear the air before we went forward, because I can't sit here and be like, oh my god, football's amazing. I'm having the best time. Every year is perfect, when it's not. That's not a realistic it's not a realistic reflection of my experience, and I want this to be a real podcast. I don't want it to be a podcast about stats and results. You know, if you wanted stuff like that, then Sport Tank and Britball and all that stuff, they are more likely to support those kind of conversations. But this is a podcast about people playing football. It is not about the football that is played, by any means. So, with that in mind, I'm going to hopefully look to the future where we talk more mental health, more success stories, more journeys into football, more laughing, and more people. And it's not just me monologuing into the ether that is the internet. So yeah, I have been Bo Snow. You have been an unwilling listener, but thanks anyway. And if you feel like this resonated with you at all, please share it or like it. And more importantly, if you want to come on, then please message me. Bye.